Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is now episode 34. Jalen, your favorite number, right?
Yeah. The best episode yet is going to be.
We're going to dedicate this one to you.
Congrats. Yeah, I don't know if you guys see this right here, 34. Hopefully, I wear 34 this
We're
year.
not dedicated to him. He's not worth it. But this is episode 34 of the Fourth and Long podcast. What?
All right.
I am joined, of course, by Jalen Johnson and UFC correspondent Blake Campbell. We got some big stuff going. We got a bunch of NFL news, including a hefty NFL draft recap, big time stuff out of the NCAA, some smaller MLB and NHL news, and of course we have to go over the now official card for May 9th, the return of UFC and the return of professional sports in the United States. But guys, this NFL draft, I actually kind of liked it. I thought it was really entertaining. You guys should shout out to those that are able to catch the live stream on Thursday and Friday.
Oh yeah.
We'll be
a couple
back.
of you guys came through. It was pretty fun.
Guys, hell yeah. But this draft of it being virtual and being everyone from home, it exceeded expectations by far.
For sure.
And this showed across the country because the 2020 draft was the most watched one of all time. They had 55 million total viewers over 3 days, with the 8.4 million average viewers. And this is up 35% from last year. What did you guys think of the new format?
I mean, for what we had to do, for what we were limited to, I think it was a good job. Obviously, if I had to compare it to actual drafts, it's gonna be the one the lowest is the low, just because people aren't walking across the stage and stuff like that.
No boats in Vegas.
Yeah, no boats in Vegas across the water.
No Blake Campbell in Vegas.
Yeah, that too. I was actually really pissed for Blake, because I was really looking forward to that, to hearing about that experience. But overall, I think for what it's worth, it was an amazing draft. I think the funniest part for me was slowly watching Roger Goodell get more and more just fed up with doing this from his basement.
He looked so stupid when he just sat down and just stopped
he just sitting down. At a certain point, he kind of sounded like he was slurring his words. He probably started drinking about around round 2.
I'm surprised he didn't say that big ass lazy boy with some rummers or maybe some whiskey in the glass, whiskey on the rocks or something like that next to him. Just chilling, drinking that, smoking a stogie, and reading some draft cards.
Yeah. What about you, Blake? What do you think about the draft?
I thought it was really well put together for everything they had to overcome. It was cool seeing the reactions from the players that they had in their wherever they were located. It was cool seeing Roger Goodell in his natural habitat. I thought I was hoping for a little bit more, but he just really isn't that guy. I don't think for just a charismatic Vince McMahon or who's another
that personality.
Dana White even someone that really just
Dana White would have been so good in that draft.
With fearless charisma, because even he had the right idea opening the draft and then having those virtual those fans booing him and all that that was the right idea. I'm sure everyone was telling him to do that, but he just executed it so poorly.
Bro, Goodell just sounds like a robot.
They were originally. He said that the booze that he was doing, there was a fundraiser or something he was doing for charity. So the booze actually raised money for charity,
which is something I give him credit for. I respect that.
Oh, and one more thing that I just found out today, I don't know if you guys read about it. Roger Goodell has actually been not accepting any of his salary. He's had a salary of 0 since the pandemic, which that props to him. That's one of the first things.
I can't expect that move because he has enough to last with this, but still, you got to give him some credit for that.
Yeah, because, not everybody else is doing that.
No.
But obviously he has enough to make it through. But, even certain people in this world will obviously be like, well, if I can make more money, I'm going to make more money.
Oh, yeah.
So
I gotta guess we have to give Roger Goodell credit where credit's due. I think
one of my first time ever on the show.
Right? I swear. But you saw how they had all the Zoom little things of fans behind Roger for the team that was up making the pick. Mm-hmm. I loved how even with a virtual draft, they still couldn't find enough Chargers fans to fill up all the squares that they had.
That was hilarious, bro.
Oh my goodness, dude!
I was really hoping.
Come on, man.
I know we're going to talk about this later, but I just want to bring it up now. When Jalen Hurts got drafted to the Eagles, I was really hoping he would show it to the screen to the Eagles fans, and they'd be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, they would be freaking out probably.
That would be.
Because he showed the Cardinals pick, and the Cardinals pick got excited. So I thought he was going to keep doing that. So you got to see the fans' reaction. But that was
the one thing they missed out on was having EDP 445 on one of the fan cams.
If you did watch our stream, we did react live. Yeah, I reacted live to EDP paying attention to Jalen Hurts getting drafted to the Eagles.
Oh, boy.
He kind of sat there staring at the camera for a bit. And today he came out with a video talking about
that pick broke him.
Yeah.
But talking about that, best draft. Who had the best draft? I say 1 to 3. Ravens, Cowboys, Cardinals. Cowboys, man, they were able to be able to snag CeeDee Lamb at 17. Crazy. Ravens be able to sign Patrick Queen in the late 20s. Was it like 27 or something like that?
Yeah.
Crazy. Cardinals be able to get Josh Jones in like I'll get to in a second, like third or fourth round.
Third round.
Really good. And the Cardinals draft as a whole.
Yeah.
Rock solid. They're going to be one of the most improved teams for next year.
The Cardinals, I actually thought it reminded me a lot of the Raiders draft in 2014 when we got Khalil Mack in the first round. It was very similar to how there was two real big defensive studs, I guess. And that year it was Jadeveon Clowney and Khalil Mack. This time it was Chase Young and Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, and then also Okudah, but we all knew Okudah was going to the Lions.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really interesting watching him fall to number 7 because that's just like an easy no-brainer pick. Just like when Khalil Mack fell to 4 to us, it's like, well, that's the obvious best player available on the board. Still, it makes complete sense. And so I think if Isaiah Simmons, if he can translate to be an actual NFL player and like really contribute, not only just add like coverage ability, but also add sacks, add some tackles for losses, not getting, bullied around at the next level. That's going to be a super interesting.
And that Cardinals pass rush just got a lot better with that pick. Jalen, you were really excited on stream once when the Panthers skipped on them.
Yeah, when the Panthers skipped and took Derek Brown instead. Well, the Cardinals GM himself. Yeah, the Cardinals GM himself came out and said that they had Isaiah Simmons rated higher than pretty much almost every other person on the board, other than like the obvious Chase Young and Jeff Okudah.
Really well for them, man. That just kind of fell into the lap. It's good for them not to end up not trading back, but to get that pick.
And then even after that, they ended up drafting him. But that was kind of like, while it was a really big positive because we really wanted him, it was also a negative because that means we couldn't trade to get more draft picks. But then the draft just kind of kept going in their favor. They ended up getting Josh Jones all the way in the 3rd round when everyone thought he was going in the 1st. And then we ended up getting the running back we wanted to get in the 3rd round. We ended up getting him in the 7th. Like, crazy. That's a perfect draft in my opinion. Obviously, there's always room to grow, but
so it was great for the Cardinals. Ravens were able to fill up holes. They were just able to plug in all the holes that they might have had, and that defense is looking really good. Patrick Queen, man, I don't know if they're how good of a comparison it is. I think it's close. I wouldn't say spot on, but I've seen some Ray Lewis comparisons. From the size, the speed, agility, the playmaking ability.
Yeah.
I think you might have that. Then the Cowboys, man, they really beefed up that defense even more than it was. And you know me, I would never admit to the Cowboys doing something good unless it was actually good. And here, I have to admit it. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, there were a couple teams that just had stupid bad drafts. See, the weird thing about a draft is that most time, you shouldn't be able to lose on draft day because at the worst, you stay the same. If anything, you get better. But these teams pretty much, it looked like they actively got worse. We have to talk about the Green Bay Packers. The Packers, what the hell are they doing? We had one of our Packers friends on day 2 of the stream to really talk about some of the stuff, and man, he wasn't happy. Packers Twitter, not happy. The Packers they don't draft a single receiver the entire draft. The first round, you go after Jordan Love. You trade up for Jordan Love. And then second round, you take a running back, even though your current running back is coming off of a career. Yeah, exactly. You're coming off of a career year. So so instead of actually aiding Rodgers and actually aiding that team, you're just scrapping
building for the future.
So it looks like they're scrapping everything, rebuilding, even though they just had a NFC Championship game appearance last season. I don't get it. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't. I was watching a Packers fan who live streamed his reaction to the draft. He has like a Packers podcast. I can't think of his name now, but if I think of it, I'll put it up. But he was like looking at the draft, and then like when they picked Jordan Love, he said, "I'll be right back," and he brings back like the pillow or something and screams into the pillow.
And then I thought he was about to bring back some rope.
No, and then he put down the pillow and goes, "Jordan Love shows promise." And I was like, that guy just flipped it all back around.
That's like, so good. That's a true professional.
He had his mental breakdown, and then he went straight through with it. He was like, all right. Positive.
The Packers, and then the Eagles quarterback factory already looking to replace Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts in the second, and Jalen, man, you know, if you guys were able to check the stream again, I was on a roll in that second round, like I guess like 10 in a row or something like that. And then
after like 15.
I even got Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And Jalen got really mad.
Yeah, no, I did. I cursed on stream.
A couple times.
Yeah, a couple.
You also left the Skype call at one point too.
Yeah, I left. I came back, but I left. My pick was, I mean, I understand why it was seen as bad. You have Carson Wentz. Your backup quarterback, honestly, he's not the future, but he's not that bad. I forget his name. But you didn't really need to draft Jalen Hurts, but at the same time, a lot of the things I was seeing was the Eagles were making sure with Carson Wentz's health issues that they had their Nick Foles. Obviously not Nick Foles, but a quarterback who
Nick Foles.
Yeah, who they felt was high caliber enough to where we feel the rest of our team is set. If we throw another quarterback in who maybe isn't as good as Carson Wentz, but he can still compete, we can still make a move, which I think was smart by them. I think they could have probably got him later.
Waited. So.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Really?
He would have been gone round. He would have for sure been gone round 2.
Yeah, I think he would have been. I think they would have had to trade back up, but I think it would have been worth it to get somebody else at that spot and lose maybe a third or fourth rounder to get. It's
just not possible all the time, though. You know, like that's just a what if game. I really think that it wasn't as bad of a pick as
it wasn't a bad pick.
as the worst draft. That just doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, the other Eagles
that's
picks,
not the sole reason.
They addressed the wide receiver with their first pick. They drafted the guy that they thought would work the best in their system. So I mean, I'm not really seeing how they had like the worst draft, so to say. And Jalen Hurts, he adds like an element to their offense that is Lamar Jackson-esque. You know, he's going to be able to run Wildcat. He's going to be able to run. You know, just run the rock in general. He's got that ability.
Last time we saw a quarterback with that ability in Philadelphia was Michael Vick.
Donovan McNabb.
Michael Vick was more recent than Donovan, I thought.
They're on the same team at the same time.
They were? Okay.
Michael Vick was Donovan's backup, and then Donovan left, and then Vick took over for a bit.
I just think it shows.
Dominick McNabb, that was.
I think it goes to show that they just prioritize the position of the quarterback. You know, like they really make sure that they're always set at that position. Just look at it and look at the history that they go through. They always have a quarterback that's highly regarded in this league, whether it's Nick Foles, whether it was Kevin Folk for a little bit, whether it was it's Kevin Cobb. I want to say, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about Kevin Cobb. We never bring that name up ever.
He kind of, but
you got some problems with Kevin Cobb, Jalen?
Was it Chase Daniel too? Is Chase Daniel another one?
Yes, Chase Daniels is on there.
So I mean, they always have guys that are just circulating throughout the leagues. That's just a priority for them. Mm-hmm. So I really didn't have anything against it. And if that was the guy that they were most intrigued by, they had the ammunition to take him there, and they knew that he wasn't going to get to the next round, so they had to do it there.
Yeah, and word came out today that they took Jalen Hurts with thinking about a couple years back when Russell Wilson was their guy, and they decided to wait on getting him, and they ended up missing out on 14 picks before them. Russell Wilson was finally selected, and so they said with that in mind, they didn't want to take the risk of someone else trying to take him, so they went and got their guy.
I could respect that. I really could. But if we're talking about some biggest winners, like you mentioned, Baltimore Ravens was one of the best drafts. If we're talking individually, I think while Packers were the losers, Jordan Love was probably one of the biggest winners from this draft weekend. Because landing with Green Bay really is the best case scenario for him, because this takes away his chances of being the biggest bust in the draft. I really thought he was. I guess that weight's probably going to fall on Justin Herbert now with the Chargers, most likely. Maybe Tua. Who knows?
Yeah, we have to see him play first.
Exactly. But I didn't. I had, you guys know, I had no buy-in to the hype of Jordan Love pre-draft. But what this does, I didn't think he was NFL ready. I thought he was the least NFL ready out of the bigger names that win the first round. But now, Aaron Rodgers still has 2 more seasons on his contract. So Drew Lock, unless we see Rodgers get traded, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, he's probably not going to play for a season or 2, or maybe 3. And his biggest problem was his decision making and being able to put in this system. Great offense, learn behind Aaron Rodgers, sit for a couple years, be able to fix your decision making because he has arm talent, he has athleticism. It was that decision making, too many bad balls, too many interceptions. But this takes away the likelihood of all that actually happening.
Yeah. Being behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers is kind of like a blessing in disguise. You know you're going to be a backup. And, a lot of kids who come in the league nowadays, they want to come in and they want to play. Obviously, who doesn't want to come in and play? But now he has the ability to sit back, learn from one of the league's best quarterbacks, and then get put into a system which, based off the draft, seems like the Packers are preparing for him to take over. Obviously, not now. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years at the least. But it looks like his team not going all in on him, but they are preparing to put him in that position because they already had like the Brett Hundley at one point. They had Kaiser back there at a point. They had Taysom Hill at a point. But they've shown that when they draft a guy, they're preparing to go all in on him. So that has been it's a great win for him in this scenario. It pretty much got put into a great position for future.
I guess if you want to look at it, one good thing from the Packers draft with Jordan Love is that they had Brett Favre, and then that Aaron Rodgers sit under Brett Favre for a number of years, and Rodgers took over. The Packers have had they've had top NFL talent quarterbacks for the last decades. And so I guess if Jordan Love is the guy who they think he's going to be able to do, this will allow them to have the same situation where he's going to sit for a little bit, and he's going to come out and be able to let the whole NFL on fire. If that works out, then I'll take back every single bad thing I said about the Packers from this draft.
No, he won't.
I might. That's strong, definite, possibly, maybe.
Okay, let's move on.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen, you said that this was one of the biggest winners from the draft.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is kind of being put into that, like Blake mentioned earlier, the Lamar-esque situation. He's going to probably be put into a lot of packages early. He's not just going to be sitting the bench and learning behind Carson Wentz. But at the same time, he does get a chance to learn behind Carson Wentz. He's still got to get the chance to play and kind of get that NFL feel, which is one thing that Jordan Love probably won't get. Jordan Love's probably not going to play this season. He's not going to get that NFL feel of what a game against NFL starters feels like yet. So that's one thing he's going to have to work on later. But Jalen Hurts is most likely going to get to play against starters at some point this season. If I had to bet my money on it, I would bet that Jalen Hurts probably doesn't start this season, but he's going to come in and get reps against starters during a regular season game this year, throwing the ball as just a straight-up quarterback. And also in special formations and stuff like that. But he's been put into a situation. The Eagles kind of seem to be losing faith in Carson Wentz's health. And so he's kind of put in a situation, obviously it's bad for Carson Wentz, but he's kind of been put in a situation to where if he gets put in to start, he's being put into an already made team. Like he's not going to have to wait and, hopefully my team drafts these guys I can get to work with. Like the team's already has like some young guys that he can work with, some older guys he can work with, and a stout defense. A defense that obviously isn't the best in the world, but it's a defense that can win. So he's being put into a great situation to where if he does have to go into the season starting, he could probably win a good amount of games this season. Or if he has to sit and come in next year, he could probably win a couple of games. So I think kind of the same Jordan Love kind of situation, but more immediate, I think is why I would consider him one of the bigger winners over a lot of other teams.
Very fair. And I got a little slack from this from the guys before the show, but I'm going to give my argument because the Drew Lock was one of the biggest individual winners from this draft. If we're talking about goals, Elway said before the draft that they are going to move ahead to the future with Drew Lock as their starting quarterback, and they're going to surround him, and that's exactly what they did. They surrounded Drew Lock with 4 new weapons, including Jerry Jeudy at 15, which was kind of a steal at 15. I was not expecting him to still be on the board that late. And they give him 2 new offensive linemen. Talk about some steals in there too. Got out of LSU. You're going to have Lloyd Cushenberry. You got him at 83rd overall. There's 2 out of 3 picks in the 3rd round. He was a second-team All-American, first-team SEC, and LSU won the award for the best offensive line in the country. That is going to be rock solid. He's going to be a starter at center when the season starts. And also, going all the way into the 6th round, you have the guard at Fresno State, Natane Moody. He only dropped this far because of injuries. If it wasn't for injuries, he was a first-round level talent, and the Broncos were able to snag him at 6. They're only putting Drew Lock in a position to win, and Drew Lock should be very happy about this because you're going to have Cortland Sutton, who had a breakout season last year. You're going to have now Jerry Jeudy, Sean Hamilton, KJ Hamler, and then even Noah Fant too. That offense is looking promising for the future, and Drew Lock is a winner for that reason.
False. I think he's.
Oh, kind of lost Jalen there. Whatever. We'll hear his argument in a second. But if we're talking about biggest
and stuff of that kind, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go. Never mind. You just got out. Hella.
Yeah, my bad.
All right, but we have. Jeez. Biggest loser, I think, personally, it would be Aaron Rodgers because his team is just drafting the replacement offense for him and his replacement himself and not surrounding him with any talent where they can win now. I don't get it. I don't get it from that standpoint.
Yeah. You kind of have to – you have a Hall of Fame quarterback right now, which I would think with a team that made the NFC Championship last year and didn't really – I mean, you lost a couple of key players, but at the same time, you could have easily replaced them, even if it wasn't to the same caliber, at least close, or at least develop these players to close. You could have pretty much almost had the exact same team, maybe slightly better, maybe slightly worse than you had last year, and made another run for it. But you pretty much added depth at positions you didn't need. You have 2 great running backs. Your quarterback's a Hall of Famer who's proven even if he gets injured, he can throw a Hail Mary. If all else fails, he'll throw Hail Marys every play if he could. He'd probably still win a lot of games. You didn't add to the offensive line like people thought you would. You didn't add another receiver. I mean, your receiving core is decent, but you could have snatched somebody. Mims was there for a while. There was other couple of receivers that fell for a while that you could have got. Jefferson was there. Could have got Jefferson. Great receivers that you could have gotten developed for the future with your new quarterback. Even if you just went with that quarterback, you could have got somebody else. And so I just think that the fact that they didn't go for now kind of shows their, kind of, I wouldn't say to the same degree, but kind of similar, like I said earlier, to the Eagles situation. They're kind of, Aaron Rodgers does get hurt every year. Most of the time he does play through it, but it's like sooner or later he's not going to be able to.
For how much of a win now league the NFL is turning into, this is very straying away from that idea. I thought the other biggest loser from the draft, it's probably Jake Fromm, and it's probably time for him to fire his agent. His agent, whoever, if he was telling me he was going to be a 2nd-round pick or whatever, that some people are expecting, maybe a 3rd, at the worst. Man, this dude dropped all the way down to 167th on day 3 in the 5th round. That he probably should have just stayed in college for one more year, huh?
Yeah, no, he should have definitely stayed in college. I thought he should have stayed in college for the first time.
I didn't even think he was bad enough. We talked about it feels like a year ago now. We were talking about the NFL Combine and how Jake Fromm was one of the biggest losers from the NFL Combine. Now he's one of the biggest losers from the NFL Draft. It has not been a good 2020 for Jake Fromm.
It's almost like the Combine translates into the draft.
Sometimes it does, and I guess this one is one of the few times. But a couple, I thought my biggest steals from the draft, though, would be Josh Jones at 72 to the Cardinals. Thought that was a great pickup by them. Christian Fulton at 61 to the Titans. Titans getting even better at defense. I thought the Titans, man, they're looking good for this season. They're looking like they're ready to reload and go at it again. And then CeeDee Lamb at 17 to the Cowboys. Those are all some really lucky drops and some really solid picks by those teams.
Facts. That's all those players weren't supposed to be there, pretty much. And so at that point, I mean, Cardinals pick a guy suspected to go to the first round, drops to the third. Great. Christian Fulton, a guy who we obviously thought was going to go way earlier than he did. There was some talk about him going early in the first, and he ends up going in the second, late second. So I think he should have gone a lot earlier. So the Titans really got better for, I wouldn't say low cost, but a lower cost than they thought they were going to have to pay for a guy like that. And then CeeDee Lamb to the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I think, are kind of wishing at this point that they would have tagged Amari and signed Jack. Yeah. Because now they have a guy who could easily probably replace if
you guys replacement. And if not better.
Yeah, if not better. You just found us a replacement and you just paid him.
You guys shout out to Jerry Jones, drafting from his $250 million private yacht, looking like a super villain, asking the world leaders for $1 billion or something like that, or he's going to nuke the world. I don't get it. Shout out to also Bill Belichick for having his dog draft for him.
Shout out to Cliff Kingsbury for having the best draft war room setup.
Shout out to Cliff Kingsbury for flexing on everyone with his fire pit on when it's 90 degrees out in Arizona.
But he doesn't care. He's like, it's not hot enough. He's like, I got Isaiah Simmons, not hot enough.
So stupid, man. And this year's draft, though, as a whole, pretty exciting. A lot of good stuff out of it. And this is probably one of the most enjoyable drafts in a while.
Yeah, I feel like we should let Blake talk about the Raiders, though. I feel like we skipped over the Raiders draft.
One of the more underrated drafts out of every team. One of the more under-respected and appreciated drafts.
It could turn out to be. I thought that we addressed some holes that we needed to. Time will tell if they were the right picks, but I like the flexibility it gives us in terms of like offense. Henry Ruggs adds another dynamic to our offense for sure. We needed that speed. We needed someone to open up that run game for us and kind of take the double coverage off of Darren Waller all the time. Mm-hmm. We got the short routes covered with Hunter Renfrow, third and Renfrow. So it's going to be really exciting to see our offense. Lynn Bowden Jr. I think is going to be an interesting guy to keep an eye on. He's listed as a running back for our team, so he's going to get a chance to take that maybe third down role or just give Josh Jacobs a spell every now and then. But you got to keep in mind Jalen Richard already has a firm clench on that job. He's also going to be a punt returner as well, so that's going to be super fun to watch because he's just electric when he gets the ball in his hands. On defense, the most interesting pick I thought that we made was actually in the sixth, I believe it was the 5th or 6th round. I want to say 6th round. Amik Robertson. Mm-hmm. This guy, oh my God, his highlight reel, unbelievable.
Looks good.
For a guy that's like 5'8", I want to say, a little guy in the NFL.
Got some trends in Holiday look like, man.
He freaking hits people, man. Like, it's crazy. He was sending people to the hospital. So it's going to be interesting to see how it looks like at the best case scenario, we at least got some guys to come in and compete. And that's what we needed. And it looks like we had a specific agenda that we were trying to follow with specific players in mind that we wanted to match up with, like a Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Noah Fant, people like that. We're trying to get these players that can match up with those guys in big-time moments so we don't get burned like we always do. So it'll be really, really fun to watch if we can develop these guys correctly.
I think so. They have one of the more underrated ones. I don't understand disrespect for the Raiders. And if I'm not disrespecting the Raiders, I don't think anyone should be.
Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest critics, but that's just what happens when it comes to fan base. But, fellas, let's delve into the situation going down in the Bayou with the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, of course, not going to retire, signed a 2-year contract. Now they just signed Jameis Winston to a 1-year contract worth about 1.1, can make up to 3.4 in incentives. And they have extended Taysom Hill to a 2-year, is like 21 or 23 million on the contract with 16 guaranteed.
Yeah, it was essentially a 1-year, $16 million deal because he's pretty much going to be able to choose where he wants to go next year.
Yeah, and they pretty much put all the money into the first year. They left like the extra money in the second year.
Yeah.
But what's going so Drew Brees is obviously the starter. Jameis Winston likely going to be the backup, but yeah, Taysom Hill is a backup. Or is this going to be the same situation essentially last year where Jameis is pretty much replacing and he's going to be the next Teddy Bridgewater in New Orleans? So like if say Drew Brees goes down again, they didn't have Taysom Hill start those 5 games. They had Teddy Bridgewater come in and start those 5 games. They still had Taysom Hill as a sort of flex, the athlete.
Yeah. I think there's a huge
possibility.
I think it's a huge possibility because I mean, think about it. It's the perfect situation for James to go into. He has Michael Thomas at receiver. He has a solid run game with Alvin Kamara. Their offensive line is always pretty decent.
Yeah.
He has Drew Brees to sit behind and learn from and pick his brain, see how the offense works.
If he's going to get his interceptions down, it's going to be from the help of Drew Brees, one of the most accurate quarterback in NFL history.
Exactly. And not to mention Sean Payton, too. He's going to get to study under his tutelage, which is going to be fantastic.
Good work, Blake.
Yeah, so I think – thank you. So I think it's going to be a really good scenario for him. I think he's going to benefit a lot from this. He just has to go into it with the right mentality, and it seems like he is. He took the first step.
Cam Newton's going right now.
Such a humble deal, right? I mean, right? 1.1 million.
That's almost a minimum. That's almost a veteran minimum.
Yeah, and after the numbers that he was reported to going after, that's wonderful. So
shout out to James to him to swallow his pride and not look like Cam Newton's able to do the other. We'll get to that in a quick second. But
it's a gamble.
Plan,
it's a huge gamble for sure.
It is,
but it could pay out really well.
The thing with Taysom Hill though is that when this first happened, when Jameis was the first time, I was like, oh, Taysom Hill to the Patriots. Congrats, New England. But New England's not interested. At this point, I'm just buying in the fact that New England is still going to win 10 games. They're still going to make the playoffs. And they're still going to somehow be able to draft Trevor Lawrence next year. It's going to happen.
You know what is kind of interesting to me is like they gave Taysom Hill a lot of money. And people are saying like, oh, Taysom Hill deserves it. He hasn't been paid his whole NFL career, but teams don't just give out money like that. It's a business too. So
they want something.
Athlete.
Yeah, exactly. That makes me think that they have a very, very specific plan in mind for him, and he's going to have more touches this year. I think he's not just going to be limited to like a backup QB, package role. He's going to be a more prevalent receiver. He's going to be a more prevalent, gadget player.
Running, I guess. Yeah. Put them on special teams, but the thing about Taysom Hill though is that he's not only he has to. He's not only but the thing is he doesn't only create like matchup problems. Like he doesnn't determine like what play you're going to run as a defense if you see him out there. He doesn't just determine an extra guy covering him or something. Taysom Hill, when he's in the game, he determines full defensive packages. That's what happens because he can go running back, he can go quarterback, he can go flex, he can go wide out. And those different changes of positions, you have to have entirely different defensive packages. And when you don't know where Taysom Hill's going to line up, you don't know what defensive package to put out there. And that's one of the most important things. A defensive package, in a lot of cases, is more important than the actual play you're running. The scheme overplays sometimes. And so that's really the impact that Taysom Hill has. I still don't think he's worth that much money, at least from what he's been doing the past couple seasons. We'll wait and see on this season. And that's a big contract that he's going to have to live up to be honest.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
One guy that's not making a lot of money, though, is Cam Newton because he is still unsigned. And Jalen, I'm sorry to you, but your whole thing with Patriots not taking day one quarterbacks so they can take Cam Newton, that's not going to happen, I guess. Because the Patriots, at least someone from the organization, has come out and said that they haven't reached out to him and they are reportedly uninterested in pursuing him. So,
wow.
Right? That's stupid. Shocked me. That's what Jarrett Stidham all the way.
I mean, I get like Jarrett Stidham, like coming out of high school and in college, he wasn't bad. So it's like I don't expect him to be
the whole league. Everyone like us, people like us, are clowning on Jarrett Stidham. He's about to throw for like 5,000 yards this year.
Yeah,
just guys.
Just be some crazy. But it's not like he's bad.
No,
like, I don't think Jarrett Stidham's bad. He's just unproven. All. And it's like, why not get Cam Newton, have him and Stidham battle for a spot, and then you can have Stidham. But it's like, to completely, like, let's say Stidham just completely trashes. I mean, yeah, then you can get Trevor Lawrence. But what if Trevor Lawrence is a bust? So you're pretty much putting all your chips in the fact that either Stidham is going to be great, or if he fails, Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. And I feel like that's not a great way to, lead your team in, is hopefully somebody who's not on our team can save us.
Well, see, the betting lines may have changed in Vegas with the Patriots coming out and saying this. I haven't checked them. I haven't updated them. But the Vegas had betting lines for top 7 landing spots for Cam Newton. Let's go through those real quick. Like Patriots, you mentioned, not interested. Number 2 is the Jags. And I actually think that I said like a number of weeks ago that this is going to be the best landing spot for Cam Newton because I'm not sold on Gardner Minshew. They can still they've rebuilt a little bit on their defense with the draft and stuff. They still have some spots that are still good. The one thing that kind of detracts from this is Leonard Fournette being on the trade block. This is probably going to hinder a deal because we all know Cam Newton is going to want a running back like Leonard Fournette. So that might persuade him to not go there. But I say, don't trade Leonard and sign Cam.
Yeah,
that's my opinion on that whole thing.
But I feel like, I mean, Leonard Fournette came out and said that he's gonna play for whoever he's with. He already said if he's with the Jags, he's gonna run his hardest while he's on the Jags.
It's not a Yannick situation. It's not Fournette that wants to leave Jacksonville. It's Jacksonville shopping Fournette.
I mean,
I think Jacksonville is just kind of a weird organization right now, though, with everything that's happened over there. Everyone's wanted to leave, so I don't know if that's necessarily a situation that I would want to go into as a player and looking out for my best interests. From the other teams that you have listed on here, I think the best fits in my mind would be either the Steelers or the Redskins. If he would accept the backup role,
he has to.
I think that would be a really good, like a Jameis Winston situation. Like give him a year to sit behind, learn the offense, and maybe compete. Ben gets injured all the time. He takes a ton of hits. He's not getting more elusive.
If Cam Newton is a backup with the Steelers, he is pretty much guaranteed to play a game in that uniform. He's pretty much guaranteed to start a game, and the Steelers are going to pay him more money than what the Saints gave Jameis. That's a fact.
Yeah.
What were you going to trust? Duck Hodges?
No, and you can tell like their backup quarterback position is still not addressed. So that would be a worthwhile addition for them, I think. And same thing with the Redskins. Like, is Dwayne Haskins really the quarterback of the future, or is this just another stopgap year?
I'm not sold on Dwayne Haskins. Of course, the Redskins they put him in a Josh Rosen situation where they just kind of threw him out to the Sharks and didn't really surround him with anything. They didn't even have their best tackle because he had cancer, and the Redskins didn't even want to address the cancer. There's a litany of problems that are wrong with the Redskins organization, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him as a quarterback, and I don't think Cam Newton trusts them. Trust to be on that team is a thing. The fourth betting odd for Cam Newton to sign with was Broncos. Obviously, not going to do that. They're moving on with Drew Lock, especially given the draft. The Bears, they're already paying Mitch, and Foles is on a large contract. We know it's going to be them two competing for a spot. Probably not going to bring Cam Newton into the fray, which is, I was kind of expecting them, like months ago, if you guys heard, I was expecting the Bears to trade for Cam Newton, actually. Obviously, that didn't happen, but it's just, there's that. And then the Raiders, obviously, it's not going to be the Raiders because, come on, the future car is uncertain. Gruden isn't sold on Carr, but everyone else, what's it? Their GM still wants him there, right?
Gruden isn't sold on Carr? Who said that?
I thought that's what I heard. I was hearing rumors that Gruden isn't a fan of Carr. Am I wrong?
That's just rumors. Why have they not drafted a quarterback since Gruden's been here?
Because Gruden has faith in Marcus Mariota.
3 drafts, 0 quarterbacks taken. We addressed the backup quarterback role with Marcus Mariota.
Backup quarterback to have.
That's a very good backup quarterback in my opinion to have. He's a serviceable starter in this league still, I think. He got beat up by Ryan Tannehill. I do not think that he is better than Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr, this is still clearly his team. There's no way that we would bring Cam Newton into the fold. That's just ridiculous.
Exactly.
We don't even have much cap space to work with now to begin with. Exactly. So that's just far fetched.
If we're being realistic, it's going to be the Jags or the Steelers. It should be the Steelers. Cam Newton just has to accept the backup role at the end of the day. He just has to swallow his pride and take the professional route and go for it. He's still going to make some good money, too, and he's still probably going to be able to take over once Ben's done in maybe a year or two. That's just the way it is. But as we've mentioned, we had Laremy Tunsil becoming Laremy Tunsil becomes the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. The Texans signed him to a 3-year, $66 million extension. Is he worth the money? No. But given the situation, and from talent level, no. But from the situation, I think he is. Especially with Bill O'Brien just depleting the offense from anything. You gotta give Deshaun Watson something, right?
Yeah, I think that's crazy that he became like the highest paid, because I don't know if
I'm not to be up there, but
I haven't watched enough tape on him. But I mean, I guess that's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. If you're the top tackle in the market, that's that offseason. Not even saying that you're the top tackle in the league. If you're just the top tackle in the market, you're gonna set the market that year. It's just how the numbers work.
Well, it's not always
unless you have just a crap paid
off of talent level. Because if you look at it's all about timing. Timing is everything in these contracts. This is a good time for them. One of the big examples was Joe Flacco. He didn't do anything until that playoff run when the Ravens won the Super Bowl over the Niners. And he went to a contract year. Timing. That's the only reason he got paid that kind of money. And he's probably not even going to be signed to a roster after this year. Broncos cut him. I don't think anyone wants him. It's all about timing. Congrats to Laremy Tunsil, though. Shout out to him. He's making the big bucks. The NFL has come out with some plans if needed. They're still planning on starting the NFL season on time, but they have plans to still have a 16-game season, but starting in October. But the problem with this is that it would take away the bye week is a problem. Removing the Pro Bowl, not really that big of an issue. I don't think anyone's going to really get too mad over that. And they would move the Super Bowl back a little bit. This is dumb. If you're still going to plan for a 16-game season, you cannot take away that bye week. You need that bye week. If anything, you should have 2 bye weeks for a 16-game season.
That's definitely a little rough. But everything else, I think, is fine. Like moving the Super Bowl back is fine. Removing the Pro Bowl completely, that's totally fine with me.
Yeah.
But taking away that bye week just seems like a punishment to the players.
Exactly. Man, the NFL season is grueling enough. That bye week hardly does anything. You need at least 1 bye week.
But that's just, I think that's just because they're trying to fit it in the shortest amount of time, though. You know what I mean?
Would the players' union even really let this happen? I don't think they would.
Who knows? That's just a conversation that'll be had eventually if it needs to. So
very fair. Very true to that. And lastly, with our NFL news this week, let's talk about one of the greatest, obviously of the decade, obviously of the past years, one of the greatest offensive linemen, maybe one of the greatest players in NFL history, has announced retirement. Joe Staley, talking for the Niners, has called it quits. This happened on Saturday after the Niners completed that trade for Trent Williams. He ends his 13-year career with 6 Pro Bowls, and he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Should have won a couple of them, to be honest. But, my question to you, Blake, and you better say yes, but is Joe Staley a Hall of Famer?
I honestly don't think I watched enough of his games to really have a valuable opinion. Okay. But from all of his accolades and what he's accomplished and the career that he's had, I would say that he is definitely up there for consideration. First ballot, don't know about that, but
I think Joe Staley, in my opinion, he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, like Joe Thomas is. Joe Thomas and Joe Staley, I honestly couldn't pick a better one between the two. I'd have a lot of fun debating that. I'll prepare a debate for that probably, but I'll have to get my facts together. I can't just do it off the top of my head. I need to be fully educated about that. But he has to be a first ballot.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person to ask. You got to keep in mind I'm not a Niner fan. I only watch games. I only watch them if they're in the Super Bowl or if the Raiders play them. So
that's very fair. There's a little bias in that. But Joe Staley has to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'd get a debate whether who's better between Joe Thomas and Joe Staley. That would make for a fun one. But
and just to be clear, that's not even really my fault most of the time. It's just because the Raiders are on. We're the same.
Exactly.
Same time zone.
Market, right? Same market. Yep.
So I mean,
it's just
sorry
what happens
about
with the local broadcasting. I don't think you're fully sorry, Blake. I think
it.
you're just
Sorry,
kinda,
Joe.
I think you're just kind of talking out of your ass at this point. But it is what it is. You're really good at doing that.
You'll be all right though. You have a big old D on your chest. You should fix that.
Oh yeah, it's not just on my chest
Sus.
too. NCAA news, man. It's all I'm saying is that it's about damn time that they made the right choice, and they are going to allow, starting in the year 2021, players are going to be able to earn money off their name and likelihood. The one downside is that the video game, NCAA football game, is still unlikely because they don't have a union, is what the NCAA said. But it's about damn time that these players are getting paid. It's about damn time that they don't have to choose between a YouTube channel, not even related to football, and playing football. It's about time that they're able to have their jerseys sold in stores, on campus, and across the country, and be able to have a share of the revenue from that.
I think it was a necessary counter to what had already happened. Just even with basketball in the NBA, how they're saying that now high schoolers are going to be able to have the opportunity to come straight out of high school to the NBA again.
Yeah, that's like we mentioned with Jalen Green last week.
That's going to completely hurt the NCAA. That's going to put a big dent in their pockets. So now they're saying, okay, well, what's a way we can combat that kind of? And now they're going to give players at the schools a way to earn some type of money off their name. So I think it was a necessary counter for them.
Exactly.
I don't know if if they were necessarily looking out for the best of the students and the player, the student athletes, but they were looking out for them, covering their, doing some CYA.
The only reason that the players are going to benefit from this, the only reason that the players benefit from any choice that the NCAA board makes is because the NCAA board makes, and the players benefiting is just one of the things that comes with it,
Yeah.
This needed to happen. Like we mentioned, Jalen Green, top 3 prospect in the country out of high school, 5-star recruit. He foregoes going to the NCAA route, going the one and done route, and just instead says, "Hey, I want some money to do this." He sends a 1-year, $500,000 contract with the G League. He's probably going to get sponsors and stuff like that. Probably going to get a big shoe deal. In the meantime, and you already had a bunch of players skipping the one and done and going right to overseas to play in professional leagues and play a season there, come back to the NBA. A lot of guys making money. This, like you said, Blake, this is just the way for the NCAA to stop that and for the NCAA to get some of their money back and stop their big names from skipping the NCAA and just making money themselves and not having to rely on one of the most corrupt organizations in all of sports. That's a fact, Blake, but I think it's time to shine, man. UFC correspondent Blake Campbell's time is now. UFC 249 has been confirmed, fully confirmed, and dog, this card is still absolutely loaded. Yeah, I know you're excited for this one.
I mean, I'll just do a real quick read through. We got Alvey versus Spann, Rosa versus Mitchell. We got Price versus Luque. Hall versus Jacare, Esparza versus Watterson, Olenek versus Verdum, Cowboy versus Pettis 2. Those are all the prelims. I think out of those 7 fights, 5 of those are bangers. I'd say the last 5 of them, starting from Luque and going up towards the Cowboy and Pettis fight, all of those are going to be bangers.
One of the smaller fights that I was really happy about when they signed was Bryce Mitchell being added to the card, because that guy is a spark. He's fun as hell to watch. He's landed one of the only 2 twisters in UFC history, and he has camo shorts. Who doesn't love that?
That could definitely be a good fight. I just don't know anything about his opponent is the only thing. So
yeah, no, that's all.
We'll see if he has a good performance, and then we'll go to the main card. Mm-hmm. Starts with Greg Hardy versus Jorgen de Castro, I believe his name is.
Yep, obviously that's a little controversial. Probably I'd be willing to bet at least 95% of people want to see Jorgen absolutely destroy Hardy.
Absolutely, but the competition is getting tougher now.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to get a little tougher, so that's interesting. Hardy is starting to, he's gonna have to put up or shut up at this point. So it's gonna be really
real fighters right now. It's not the Contender Series anymore.
This next fight, I'm really excited for. Jeremy Stevens versus Qatar, or is it Qatar? I never know how to say his name.
I think it's Qatar.
I don't know. It's Calvin.
It's Calvin.
Calvin
K. Calvin K.
Jeez. That's gonna be
research here.
That's gonna be a banger. They're both super talented. They both slug it out. I really can't wait for that one. And then we have
featherweight. Those dudes just stand and throw too.
Yep. And then we have the big boys, Rosenstruik and Ngannou. That's going to be another one that everyone's going to be on the edge of their seat. Do not blink. It's going to be crazy. That octagon is going to be just rumbling and shaking, possibly crumbling. Then we have another controversial fight, Cejudo versus Dominick Cruz.
What are your thoughts on this one, Blake? What are your thoughts on this? I think it's a fine matchup.
Have I talked about this before on here yet? I don't know if I have.
You might have. Let's get your opinion on this one.
I think it's okay. I don't love the fight, but I don't hate the fight. I'm not as against it as some people are, because you gotta admit, Dom Cruz is a legend to the sport. He is probably, in most people's opinions, the greatest of all time in 135. He just ruled that division for a long time. It was
it was him and Uriah built it.
In the WEC days, it was Uriah Faber, and he even beat Dom Cruz when Dom Cruz was first coming up. Very interesting. And then Dominick Cruz, once it goes over to UFC, he just, dominates. And so I think he's earned that respect. He's kind of gotten that almost Anderson Silva type respect. Almost who else is a guy that just like not the same, but kind of like Yoel Romero, a guy that's always getting title shots. He's just got that respect, a guy that you know is going to show up if he's healthy, which is a big if, but now he's finally healthy. And so I think the UFC is like, oh, Dom Cruz? Man, we haven't had him for a while. Let's go. Let's get him signed up. The only thing that's unfortunate for me is the fact that we don't get a proper media run with this. We don't get a proper press conference and anything like that, because I would love to see the reactions between Cejudo and Dom Cruz. I think Dom Cruz would just have a field day with Cejudo.
Well, would you not watch a press conference with all these guys on Zoom?
That would be a mess.
It would be so stupid.
People would just talk, over each other. And
Dana White would have to go mute everyone every time. Right. Just for the entertainment value, for the entertainment sample, I'd watch it. I'd tune in because, personally, I think it'd be funny as hell trying to see Dana White contain the whole thing too. Exactly.
No, we got nothing better to do.
On Henry Cejudo's side, I think that
this is going to be another legitimate challenge, in my opinion.
It's a legitimate challenge, but the thing with Henry Cejudo, man, a lot of people just discount him, discredit him because of the persona that he puts on. The forced cringe champ thing. I find it entertaining mostly. Sometimes it can be a little much, but I do like it. But Henry Cejudo has to be one of the most underrated champions in recent history, and probably it might be one of the more underrated pound-for-pound fighters in the UFC right now. A lot of people seemingly look past him. But man, I was just able to watch, NBC is putting up some stuff on YouTube. I was able to watch Henry Cejudo's gold medal match in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, man. He dominated that match too. His wrestling is still up there. But I'm really looking forward to this matchup.
Yeah, I actually think that I'm going to give the edge to Cejudo.
I am too.
He's just on a roll right now, and Dom Cruz just looks a little slow.
Maybe a little ring rust, man. Henry Cejudo's been going through. It has been a long ass time since Henry Cejudo defended, but it's been even longer since Dominick Cruz even fought in the UFC octagon.
And notice how there's one piece missing from everything we've just talked about this whole time. We still haven't talked about a main event.
Exactly. Well, yeah, of course, with all these, we'll get into these fights in a little more depth and give our full predictions next week in our UFC 249 preview show. But we got to talk about this because, Blake, man, the main event is fully confirmed. And it's not exactly what we were wanting, not exactly what we're all hoping for. But this being a backup fight, I cannot have any complaints about this.
Not at all. The main question that is remaining, though, is what happens after. Is the winner really promised Khabib, or is it going to be
worried
Conor swerving in? So who knows?
I've seen all these articles and all this stuff. Is the winner of this fight actually going to be able to fight Khabib? I hope so. He has to. If Conor McGregor jumps one of these guys, jumps the winner of this fight, and is the one who ends up fighting Khabib next, that's just going to be a mockery of the sport, to be honest.
It would be a shame, in my opinion. But I'm just happy in the meantime we get two guys that are known to throw down and just have no fear.
No.
And they're not going to hold back at all. They're just going to leave it all out there. So that's going to be just so freaking exciting to watch.
I don't have a dog in the fight. I think for the chance of a Khabib Ferguson fight, you probably want to root for Ferguson. But if you just want to go watch a fight, man, these guys are gonna fight.
I'm not specifically rooting for one guy or the other more. No. No, there's just no way. I have so much respect for both of these guys.
Yes,
they're just both badasses to the 10th millionth degree.
To be honest, I think 5 or 6 months now, when Justin Gaethje fought Don Cerrone, I didn't personally. It was a mistake, but I didn't know much about Justin Gaethje. But ever since that fight, he's been put high up on my radar, and I have so much love and respect for that guy just for what he does. You see him climbing around in his during his manager's or his coach's interview with Ariel Helwani a couple days ago.
Yeah,
funny stuff, dude. I love Gaethje's attitude, bro, because he really just doesn't care about anything.
Keeps it real. He's super honest with you. He's like, I'd love to be the champion, but if I'm not the champion, I'm trying to make the most money possible.
Exactly.
I'm a prize fighter. That's what I'm here for. And I like that he just keeps it honest, and I think he has realistic expectations for himself and keeps himself grounded, and that's what you got to do.
From early prelims to main event is going to be absolutely amazing. And I really can't wait for this. May 9th cannot get here soon enough. Especially in May, though. There's already going to be 2 more fight nights in May. No cards have been fully released or confirmed. All this stuff is being held in Florida because recently Florida has lifted the ban and has deemed sports essential business. So we got all that going on again. And then, once again, maybe more importantly, Blake, Fight Island is confirmed. Fully confirmed this time. We're going to have a private island for all international fights. We're going to have hotels. We're going to have gyms. And we're going to have a octagon on the beach.
Hopefully it's shaded and well taken care of.
I'm sure they'll do something because we've seen this stuff before.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what they come up with. I can't wait to see the infrastructure. I can't wait to see the actual fights that they line up for that. It's going to be – I can't wait to see the production. It's going to be really freaking cool, something that we haven't seen since probably like Underground MMA was like, first really getting started.
Right?
Yeah, since like Total Drama Island on Cartoon Network.
Well, since you said something, Jalen, that's
I know. Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Right at the ending, dog. Perfect. Right dude, I don't even need the fights. I really just want to see what the island itself is going to look like. Bro, what they really should do is just make it an MMA version of Disneyland for the fighters. Straight up.
Just thinking that, like, how like Disneyland has like those pamphlets you can pick up with like a gigantic map. They just have like
It'd almost be cool to do a little reality show, yes. or maybe not a reality show necessarily, but just kind of like the UFC embeddeds they do, but make
those are going to be so longer. Good. Maybe like a mix between embedded and tough, I guess.
The one guy that I would really suggest that you guys check out, and this goes to listeners too, like if you guys haven't heard of Anatomy of a Fighter, I believe his name is Will Harris. Yeah. Sorry for getting that wrong. That guy gets unprecedented access that's not directly affiliated with the UFC or ESPN. He has his media credentials now. I think they credential him at all events, so he's able to get really, really close access to all these fighters and get in-depth content that you don't see many other people getting besides Brett Okamoto and Ariel Helwani, people like that. So I would like to see the format of his type of videos. They're kind of like little mini-series documentaries. That would be super cool to have for Fight Island.
That'd be amazing, bro. I just can't wait for the spectacle of all this. But at the end of the day, all the important stuff has happened. UFC 249 is confirmed. It's loaded, and it's happening on May 9th.
Two more events in there. I said all the porn stuff.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, my bad. I definitely did not say that.
I was like, wow.
Whoa. No, the important stuff. And then also just having Fight Island. I know it's confirmed in the past, and then it was canceled. Shout out to ESPN, you bunch of bums at Disney. Screw you all. But it's going ahead now. It's going to happen. And Fight Island, man. it sounds. I keep on talking about it, but it just sounds so stupid and awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah,
just
it
but
does.
just what it's a Dana White is getting a private island where they're going to have international fighters flown in, and they're going to fight on the beach.
Yeah, when he first announced it, I kind of thought he was just like joking. Like he was like, "No, I'm gonna get
Dude,
everybody on the island."
sounds like
I got
something
it.
Vince McMahon would do, bro. I swear.
Yeah, some
Dana
type of
White
skit.
is a legend. He's a national hero, and he is once again proving that he is
Yeah,
the greatest president in all of professional
yeah.
sporting leagues. But that's going to wrap it up for us
Hold on,
today.
hold on. I
Oh,
gotta go with
oh,
the quote of the, I gotta go with the quote of the
oh,
podcast. I
yeah,
know it's
you're
been
actually
a
back
while.
for this one, man.
Yeah, I'm back for
Okay,
this. Yeah.
damn.
So in honor of what's been going on with the docu-series of Michael Jordan's The Last Dance, I thought I'd
Ooh,
go with the
next
Michael
week is
Jordan
going to be
quote.
rough, bro. They got
Yeah.
Kobe on next week.
Yeah, they got Kobe on next week. That was gonna be a good
Ooh.
one. But the
Mhm.
Michael Jordan quote for this week is never say never because limits, like fears, are often illusions.
The only illusions I see are probably these shadows that pop up in the corner of my eyes.
Hey,
Thank
wow,
you,
okay.
everyone. Thanks, everyone, for joining in on episode 34 of the Fourth and Long podcast. Once again, shout out Jalen.
Yay.
We big time draft stuff, a lot of UFC stuff, and really, really big implications coming out of recent new rule changes to the NCAA. But of course, you can follow us all on Twitter at Fourth Long Radio, Instagram Fourth and Long Radio. They also have the website www.thefourthandlong.com. Starting to do live streams now. Might get live streams of the shows eventually here. We'll see. But big thing you guys are all going to want to watch out for is we're going to be introducing a Fight Companion type live stream for the May 9th card. And we're going to turn that in not only a live stream for the fights, but that's going to be a celebration of professional sports officially making their return. And I cannot be more excited. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you all have a blessed week to look forward to.